Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And today I'd like to show you how I made this card. I'm using some of this beautiful paper out of the new Occasions catalog, and I'm going to bring it out here so I can show you. It is called Painted with Love Specialty Designer Series paper. And the colors in it are Calypso Coral, Melon Mambo, Powder Pink, Rich Raspberry, and Whisper White. And this is the paper here that I am using for today's project. It's just so pretty. They're all foiled and they're all double-sided. So that's this side. This is the other side. Isn't that just gorgeous? So pretty. Here's another that's got the gold foil and the Melon Mambo and the Calypso Coral in it. Just beautiful. And the reverse side of that one is this. So very pretty again. Now this one looks more almost like little mountainscapes to me, or clouds. Very pretty. All of the colors in kind of a gradient from the darkest to the lightest, which is the powder pink. And on the back is this almost like a dash or a brick sort of pattern. And let's see, then there's this one. Isn't that sweet, with all of these cute little hearts, and it looks like about every third one is foiled in gold. And the reverse side of that one, let me turn this over, is this beautiful paper here. So again, another really attractive paper. Now this one is in stripes, smaller stripes, that captures all of the colors involved. Isn't that pretty? And on the back side are these little hearts in 3 of the 4 colors. And so that's this paper. Then this last one is in a much lighter color. Isn't that pretty, with the gold foil? And the back side of that one is this dot pattern that has all of the colors in it. So again, just a beautiful set of pattern papers. And so what I have done is made a Valentine's card here. And what you need to make this card is I used a base of Melon Mambo that is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Then I have 2 pieces of Whisper White at 4 by 5 1/4. Then I have a piece of scrap for my sentiment down here. Then I have scrap paper here in the pattern paper so that I can cut out my hearts. Oh, I didn't show you the inside. And I've got 2 little hearts on the inside. And then we need a piece of scrap to cut out all the little hearts from this paper. And then this is a very large piece, way too big for what we need. But we need to cut a little strip of the Calypso Coral for along the edge here on the paper. So that's the pieces that we need. And let's just go ahead and get started. The other thing I'm using is this Falling Petals embossing folder, because it's got the hearts on it. Isn't that cute? And let's see, what else? There was something else. Oh, then I'm using these metallic enamel shapes, and they've got hearts as one of the shapes, and I thought that was kind of pretty to add to this, to add a few little bells and whistles. All right, so let's just get started. And I'm going to start by folding and burnishing my card base here. There we go. All right, then what we're going to do is take one of these white pieces And I need to emboss that, so I'll do that and I'll be right back. And I'm going to place this in the folder. This one I placed in the folder so there was a lot of blank at the top, and I want a few of those hearts to show at the top. So I'm going to move this down the page here, make sure that my bottom is getting embossed here, and see if I can't pick up a few hearts at the top. Okay, I'm back and I have my piece embossed, and you'll see I moved it down the folder so there's a little bit more detail. The hearts below, but I've got a little bit above, which is what I wanted. All right, this piece of, and I didn't show this earlier, I cut a piece of the designer series paper that is 1.5 inches by 5 1/4. And that's this piece along here. And so what I need to do is take this piece and place it so that I can get a measurement for my cutting. And I'm going to take my pencil and just make a little tick mark here at the top. That would be the edge of this piece of paper. So what I'm going to do is bring up my trimmer, and I'm going to cut just slightly. Here is the little pencil mark on my paper, and so I'm going to come in about 1/8 of an inch or so and start my cutting there and go from that point to this corner. So I'm just going to set that up on my trimmer here to get the corner down here in the cutting channel, and then to rotate the top about 1/8 of an inch over from my pencil mark, and set that in place and just cut that edge off. Okay, so there we go. And then what I'm going to do is add some snail onto the edge here of this piece of paper and a little bit along this edge here. And then I'm going to square this up so that, and the way to square this up is to get the bottom edge square. So I'm going to, maybe you can see that if I lay it on the dark here, tuck that into the corner, and then make absolutely sure that this edge is right along the bottom, and put that into place on my card here. Okay, now my panel should again be 4 by 5 1/4. So, looks like it's just a little bit bigger than that, and I've got tiny little edge left along the top here. So this is where, if you need to, you can trim just enough off the edges to make this exactly right. And this is close enough to 4 that I think I'm going to be okay. So this piece then is ready to go on the front of this card. Yep, I think that's going to be just fine. And that is going to go down flat. So I'm going to just put some snail on the back side of this card, or this panel that we put together, and put that down on my card base here. Put a little extra snail on that because this is embossed and I want to make sure that it's got plenty of surface to stick. Okay, so there we go. Nice and even on my card base. It doesn't look very even. Looks like I've got a little issue along the bottom here. Maybe I can square that up just a bit. There, that is a little better. Okay, so there's my piece there. Now, this piece of Calypso Coral is just a hair over what it needs to be. So I'm going to trim just a little piece off the bottom there. See if I can't get that to go on here. And what I'm going to planning on doing is leaving just the tiniest border along the edge here, and it looks like that's not straight. Okay, hopefully that'll do it. So I'm going to add a little bit of snail on the back of this piece and leave a tiny little border. And the reason I'm doing the Calypso Coral is that when I put this card together, the piece has the Calypso Coral and the Melon Mambo, and I've tried to cut all of the pieces out so they show some of each of the colors that's in here. And when I put this together at first, I decided it needed a bit more of the Calypso Coral in order to look balanced. So I've added that piece to there. Now I have cut a little strip, so I'm going to put that piece of paper right here in the center. All right, so now I'm going to put some snail on the back of this and put this piece in place here to pick up the rest of those colors. All right, then what I did use was from our Sweet and Sassy heart dies. I used this die to cut these pieces, and I used this tiny little sweetheart die for the inside. And as is my practice, I have cut those out ahead of time. So here are my pieces. Okay, so now I'm ready to put these pieces on, and for that I need a couple of dimensionals, and I'm going to be using the large and the small dimensionals. On the back of the heart, I think I want this heart, at the top. Okay, so I'm just going to put 3 big dimensionals on the back of this, and I put that on at a slight angle to the card. So slight angle, and I'm going to lower it just a little bit because I want some of these embossed hearts to show at the top. So if I put that in here, that gets that taken care of. And then on this one, I only need dimensionals on this side and a little bit of snail on this side, so everything will be at the same level. So I need a couple of dimensionals on this side and at the bottom, and then I need just a little bit of snail on this end to stick to the other heart. And so let me put this heart in place. This is a very fast card, and I think really a pretty one. So now I'm going to put this one in place this way, going a bit more the other direction. There we go. And we have a bit of stamping to do, and I have my piece of scrap, and where I'm taking my sentiment today is from the Bloom and Love stamp set, and I'm taking this stamp here that says love you. For whatever reason, when I ordered the dies for this, I usually just order the bundle, and I ended up not getting the stamp set for this, so I've got it on order now. I don't know what I was thinking. So I'm going to use the Melon Mambo here because that matches the card base. I'm not sure that's on there straight. So I'm going to reset it here using my grid paper to set this straight. And then picking that up with my G block here. Now that looks straight to me. Okay, now I'm going to stamp that. It's a photopolymer, so I need to get this set here. I'm going to stamp it over to one end a bit. And there it is, love you. And then what I used was our, I can't think of what the name of this one is. I'll put it on the screen. But the little banner punch that has the points on either end. And so what I did was put this in and put it fairly close to the edge on the one side. Love you. And then put it back in and pulled it up through the punch and got it centered to match the amount of space at the other end, and just took off that end. So there I've got the banner that is exactly the right size. Okay, so this now will go on a couple of smaller dimensionals and go here on the bottom of our card. So a couple of the mini dimensionals in the middle here. And that is all the stamping I'm going to do. And it's a matter of just getting this placed on the bottom of my card here. And on this one, I think I'm going to move it a little bit more over this way. Maybe it should be that way to balance the hearts. Yeah, maybe it should be this way. Anyway, I'm going to leave ever so slight a border on the bottom here. Put that into place. Now then, for the inside of the card, we're going to take our other piece of the Whisper White and put some snail on it. And get that placed on the inside of my card. And then I put these two little hearts with a little bit of snail down here on the bottom. And I cut them out so they also had some of the gold on them, as well as the Melon Mambo and the Calypso Coral. So like that. And then I'm going to take one of these lovely metal enamel shapes here, the heart, and put it right down here with those hearts. Then I'm going to take a couple more. I think I added 3 on the other card. And this one I'm going to put right up here in the corner because there's not as much gold. And then one over here. And one maybe just right down here. Okay, so there we have the project for the day. Very easy, very simple, and I think a lovely impact. This card is not part of the Fast and Beautiful, but it sure almost could be. There's a little bit more to this one than just the designer series paper, but with the embossing folder, the designer series paper, and the hearts cut out, it really is a very simple design and I think very attractive. And now that the catalog is live, these things are available on my website, www.lbedinger.stampinup.net. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator. And or you could join my team. And there's special going on with the normal incentive for joining Stampin' Up! Plus 2 additional stamp sets and the $40 in product from me. So you can get almost $200 worth of material joining now through the end of March, as long as Celebration is going on. And it's a really good time to join Stampin' Up! I'd love to have you on my team. So that's it for me today. Be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. And so until next time, when I have more cards and more projects, bye!